Have you ever just stared at a blank page, totally paralyzed by the thought of writing an introduction? You know exactly what you want to say, but you just can't figure out how to start? Yeah, we've all been there. Today, we're going to demystify that whole process with a really simple but powerful formula that can take any intro from kind of meh to absolutely unforgettable. So, let's dive in. I mean, think about it. Most introductions, they just exist. They state the topic, maybe give a little bit of vague background, and then they just jump right into the main content. They don't create any intrigue, there's no tension, and they definitely don't convince you that what you're about to read is the most important thing you'll see all day. They totally fail at their one crucial job, to actually hook you.
Okay, so take a look at these two openings. One was written by an amateur, and the other by a total pro. One of them really works, and the other one just falls flat. Can you tell which is which? Don't worry, by the end of this, you are going to know exactly which one is the expert, and more importantly, you're going to know why.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start by really nailing down the core problem with most introductions. Then, I'm going to let you in on a little secret, a 3-step formula that works every time. We'll break down each step, setting the stage, finding the gap, and presenting your solution. And then we'll wrap up with some pro tips to really take your writing to the next level.
So what's the core problem, really? Well, it's that we often forget what an introduction is supposed to do. Its job isn't just to state a topic, it's to make a compelling promise to your audience.
This right here, this is the goal. Your intro has to convince your audience that the problem you're tackling is actually fascinating and relevant, and most importantly, that your solution is a real game changer. You have to build a case for why they should invest their precious time and attention in what you have to say.
All right, so how in the world do we do that? Well, it's not magic, it's all about structure. There's a formula that the best writers and speakers use, whether they even realize it or not. Think of it like a secret recipe for crafting a super convincing argument.
And here it is. It's often called the inverted pyramid formula. You start really broad, with the general context. Then you start to narrow your focus to pinpoint a specific problem, what we're going to call a knowledge gap. And finally, you zoom all the way in on your specific solution that fills that gap. See? It's a simple, logical, and incredibly effective way to guide your reader from the big picture right down to your point. Okay, let's break this thing down. Step 1 is all about setting the stage. You're basically bringing your audience into the world of your topic and making them feel at home.
So, in this first part, you're just establishing the shared context, getting everyone on the same page. You explain why this topic even matters, and you give a quick rundown of what we already know about it. You're basically saying, hey, here's the conversation that's already happening, and here's why it's a really important one.
And you know, you don't have to reinvent the wheel here. Phrases just like the ones you see on screen are perfect for kicking things off. They immediately tell your audience, okay, we're starting broad, I'm with you.
Now we're at what I think is the most important part of this whole formula. This is the pivot point. This is the moment where you turn a simple report into a really compelling argument. This is where you find the gap.
So this is absolutely crucial. After you've laid out what we know, you have to pivot and highlight what we don't know. What's that big unanswered question? What was the limitation in all those previous studies? What's the piece of the puzzle that's still missing? This gap is what creates urgency and makes your work feel necessary. It's the so what behind your entire project.
And the transition into this step is everything. Words like however, although, or despite are your best friends here. A phrase like, however, little attention has been paid to, is a huge flashing sign to your reader that you're shifting from what's known to the specific problem that you are about to solve.
Okay, so you've pointed out this big, interesting gap in our knowledge. The final step is to swoop in and fill it. This is where you introduce your work, not as just another piece of info, but as the direct, targeted solution to the problem you just laid out.
This is your moment to be crystal clear. You need to explicitly state the objective of your work. You're not just telling people what you did, you're framing what you did as the logical, necessary next step to fill that knowledge gap you so brilliantly exposed in step 2.
And again, don't try to be too clever here. Clarity is your goal. Use really straightforward phrases like, the purpose of this study is to, or in this paper we argue that. This leaves absolutely no doubt in your reader's mind about what your contribution is and how it fits into the puzzle.
So let's go back to that mystery from the beginning. The expert was speaker B, the orange version. But why? Well, look at this breakdown. Both versions set the stage, right? They both have movement 1. But the amateur, the blue version, is missing the most critical piece, movement 2. There's no gap. It just jumps from context straight to the solution, which makes the solution feel kind of random. The expert version, though, cleverly creates a gap by raising a question about an untapped source of biomass. And that makes its solution feel urgent and necessary. It's not just another statement, it's an answer to a question.
Okay, now that you've got the core formula down, let's go over a few expert-level tips. These will help you dodge some common mistakes and make your introductions really stand out.
First up, be super careful with absolute claims. Saying something like, "This has never been studied before," is a huge red flag for anyone who knows the field. It's almost impossible to be 100% sure. So instead use what's called hedging. Phrases like, "to the best of our knowledge," or "rather less attention has been paid to," show that you've done your homework, but you're not making a claim that can be easily shot down.
Second, keep it short and sweet. Your intro is not the place for a massive literature review. It's a focused, straight-line story that leads right to the gap. Every single sentence should be moving that story forward. If it's not, cut it. For most things, 1 or 2 paragraphs for the context is plenty.
Okay, this is a big one. You've done all this amazing work, you're excited about your findings, so should you give a little sneak peek of your results at the end of the intro to really hook the reader?
No, absolutely not. Never do that. Save your results for the results section and save your main takeaways for the conclusion. The job of the introduction is to frame the question, not to give away the answer. If you reveal your findings too early, you kill all the suspense and you mess up the logical flow of your argument. So let's just recap the one crucial takeaway from all this. If you want to write an introduction that really grips your audience, just use the inverted pyramid. Start broad with the context to get everyone on the same page, then narrow in on that specific knowledge gap to create a sense of purpose, and finally, present your work as the clear, direct solution that fills that gap.
And that really leaves us with just one final thought. Every great project, every innovative idea, every compelling argument, it all starts by finding a gap. So as you move forward, from now on, always be asking yourself, what's missing? What's the unanswered question? What's the gap that my next big idea is going to fill?